Or our spirit. Is our spirit and soul the same thing?
No.
Oh, okay.
95 or 98% of all books on the market on spirituality are about the soul. Soul evolution, soul stages, young soul, old soul, process of growth, self-improvement, self-empowerment. It's all about soul, soul knowledge.
But don't, as soon as you say soul, you make a separation again? As soon as you
That's
say
very good. I'm going into that for a moment. So the soul is your appearance. Okay? The unique expression of you. Take, for example, let's do this. There's a pot of water. Okay? We explained this, but I think it's quite appropriate here. And you take a spoonful of water away from that pot of water. Okay? What happens now? The spoonful of water, which is separate from the rest of the water, begins to think, oh, I am a different person. I am separate from the whole. You see? So now this being isolated by itself, it begins to be affected by its environment. Okay? Maybe dust collects on it, maybe with this or whatever, it doesn't matter. But we're assuming that this little bit of water, apart from the rest of the water, has its own personality. Okay? It modifies. Now, we call this evolution of that little bit of water, we call that the soul. It evolves. It keeps expanding, growing, growing in understanding, gaining experiences and all that. Spirit is perfect. Spirit is the watcher. Spirit never changes. Spirit is causeless. It is without a beginning or an end. It has no end, no beginning. It is deathless. Okay? It's eternal. It's unchanging. It can't be explained by the mind. It cannot be conceived by the mind. So the only way we can understand is through what the soul goes through, the process. But you might say, isn't the soul eternal? Yes, it is when we understand its action. But its action is always moving towards spirit, all the time moving towards spirit. You see? Now, when the soul becomes fully evolved and it says, I woke up, it becomes one with spirit. It becomes absorbed into spirit. You see, and it becomes one with all that is. Still aware. Because the one who's aware now is not you. It is awareness itself. This is what has to be understood. And this is why awakening it doesn't come very easily, because we think I am aware. There's no such thing as I am aware. There's only awareness. Okay? Now, we're talking from the spirit angle. As a soul, you can say that. As a spirit, it's complete. It is total. And there are no qualities to spirit. Spirit is. You see? It cannot be touched. It has no qualities. It cannot be good or bad or right or wrong or anything. It just is. And therefore, it is pure unconditional love. Why? Because it is everyone and everything. And the one thing, what makes love so potent? Because we want relationship, we want to love, we want to belong. You see? We want intimacy. And so what we want to do, which we can't help, is collectively to join. Because oneness is our natural state. Spirit is that oneness. So when you awaken it, when you become you are spirit, then you are everything. Literally. You're still in the form. But you can feel one with everyone. Because whoever you see is a part of you. Just like the water realizes finally that, oh, but I am that water in the pot. I'm not separate really. Even though I am moving away. But that doesn't create the separation because I'm still the same water. You see, I'm still connected. Okay? Now, that seeming separation is the evolution of the soul. And the soul goes through growth all the time, through understanding. You're touched, but you read a beautiful poem and your soul is touched. You hear a beautiful song and your soul is touched. You see, you gain these beautiful experiences. All experiences are experienced by the soul. But when you realize there's no experiencer, there's the spirit. Are you with me so far? This is very important. As long as you think you're an experiencer, I experienced a beautiful experience, oh my God, I'm in ecstasy. That's the soul experiencing. And then you lose it again. And some people say, oh, I got a beautiful experience and I lost it again. I got to know I will work, but I'm back again and regressed. That's the soul talking. You see?
Is the soul evil then?
Oh, no, there's no evil.
No ego.
Oh, yeah, you can, well...
When that
No, ego is the idea of separation. The soul can come to an understanding where it sees no separation. Okay? It keeps on growing. So the soul is constantly moving towards spirit. At what stage it is at is only embedded in the soul. So we cannot say the soul is ego. The ego is totally selfish. Thinks only separation. It only thinks, I come first. I want to be better than you, for example. Because better always implies better than. Yeah.
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt your answering the question, but it just struck me that when you talked about having a beautiful experience, and then it's an experience that by definition has to come and go, and therefore it's not part of what's real and lasting.
That's right. It's not real and lasting. Mm-hmm.
What makes a beautiful experience is something in you recognizing that which is eternal.
That which is eternal.
So what is it that recognizes? So isn't that just like a hair's breadth away from...
Absolutely. It's a hair's breadth away. But the reason we do not recognize is because there is a great fear. Because spirit is emptiness. That's why Buddha said, there's no creator, there's no creation, there is no God, there is no soul. See, that's what Buddha said, so that people don't get caught with words. He said there's only emptiness. And people got scared. But in truth, that's what it is. But emptiness is what created everything, because it's pure energy. Scientists call it pure energy. From pure energy become waves. Waves create particles, and then we have molecular structure, and then we have the world. You see? But you cannot separate matter from mass, which is energy. You cannot separate from another. So therefore, when we say emptiness, is also fullness. You see? But it's a beautiful word because it leaves you without concepts. Okay? And that is the beauty. So when you recognize emptiness, that you're totally empty. Right now, if you're looking, really, who's looking is the emptiness looking through you. We call it consciousness, but I like to call it emptiness.
So experience could lead to recognition.
Experience could lead to recognition if we take the personal away from it. If you say, I had an experience, then you're going to lose it. Because you made the ego experience it. So you feel good, but it won't stay with you.
No, of course
okay?
not.
Right. But if you begin to realize that experience is an opening to that which is total, eternal, then what happens is the soul takes a leap in its own understanding towards the spirit. You see? So that becomes the recognition. And then you don't lose it. And the reason you don't lose it is because you didn't make it personal. I experienced it.
Because no one experiences.
Because no one experiences enlightenment. You see?
Yeah.
Just like Adyashanti said, he says, you cannot experience enlightenment because enlightenment means there is no you. You see? So that's the enlightened experience. So that doesn't mean anything happens to your personality. Your personality is still the same. Everything is still the same. But there's no longer an ego. You see, you're selfless, more or less. You have love, you have compassion, you have understanding, you have clarity. But you're not caught in the self. And that's true love. You see? Because you cannot love until you disappear. Just like when you fall in love. When you fall in love is the greatest moment that we can have, and as the first spiritual intimacy that we can experience. But falling in love usually doesn't last more than an hour or two, because then we start thinking about the lover, and then we become possessive and then lose it. But at that moment of falling in love, that moment is totally selfless. As a matter of fact, you become the other person. That's what falling in love is. You forget yourself.